Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins limited, trying to get through concussion protocol. Packers running back Josh Jacobs missed another practice today. He is dealing with a knee injury. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson returned to workouts after sitting out yesterday. Falcons and Buccaneers start Week 15 at 8:15 Eastern Time. The Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office said today that the matter involving Sherrone Moore remains under active investigation. He remains behind bars after being detained yesterday. The Braves and former Padres reliever Robert Suarez agreed to a 3-year deal worth $45 million. I'm Dan Beyer.
Penn Teledata Internet Traffic on Fox Sports Radio. Sponsored by Allstate.
22 eastbound stacked up between 309 and Fullerton, also between Shanersville Road and 512. 22 westbound, lots of slow traffic between 512 Center Street and 15th Street. 78, both directions slow between Hellertown and 33. Other Valley roadways looking okay right now. 309, the northeast extension of the Turnpike, headed up to the Poconos on 33, no problems to report. 8209 and 611 in the Strasburg area looking all right. Yeah. There are some snow squalls moving through the area, and there is an accident on 380 northbound between Mount Pocono and Toby Hanna.
Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
We are Buckhorn!
We now return to the Happy Hour, presented by Ashley, the largest furniture store brand in North America, on Fox Sports Radio, 94.7 FM, 12:30 AM in Easton, and lvfoxsports.com.
Five o'clock here on a Thursday. Tom Fallon and Connor Brown with you tonight here on the Happy Hour. Live from Big Woody's on Chestnut Street in Emmaus with you till 6 o'clock. The Penn State Coaches Show takes the air at 6. NFL football in the air at 7:30 tonight with the Falcons taking on the Buccaneers. Catch that one from Westwood 1. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we're going to talk to Adam Hill from the Las Vegas Review-Journal as we go behind enemy lines. Eagles taking on the Raiders this weekend in Philadelphia. On the line with us now to talk a little birds from the In-Flight Eagles podcast and 100.7 WLEV, the one and only Kevin Crockett. Crockett, how are you this week?
Gentlemen, I am ready for another football game because the last one wasn't so great. So I'm ready for a brand new week of football and a kickoff against the Raiders on Sunday.
If I told you this, though, if I'd have told you before the game on Monday, hey, Jalen Hurts is going to throw for 240, Saquon Barkley's going to go for 122 on the ground, A.J. Brown's going to have 100 yards receiving, and Herbert's going to throw for 139. Just where would you go, how much did we win by?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that's kind of what I'm one of the few people that is walking away from this game with almost a feeling of optimism, if that's weird, because the offense has been so bad. But if you go back and look at some of that, you could argue A.J. Brown has 3 touchdowns, at least 2 touchdowns go through his hands, and then another third one go through his hands. Jalen made 2 bad decisions, that's for sure. But if what you're saying is we have to open up this offense because the run game is not happening, that's the history of what it is with this offense and those 2 players in particular. Yeah, I mean, to your point, not only that, but really the only big play the Chargers had, you could say, was probably a broken play. I mean, I don't think they designed to just have the entire Eagles defense flow one way, let Justin Herbert crawl up a pocket, and then get 60 yards down the field on a little swing pass. So, yeah, all of the elements minus the 5 turnovers, which are 5 really big elements in this whole thing, would have argued that, yeah, the Eagles were going to win this game. But that's not how it went. And again, I kind of come back to the idea of being optimistic in that I don't expect AJ to drop passes like that at that rate. I don't expect Jalen to turn the football over at that rate. And in this case, some of those plays go hand in hand. So, it's always a game of woulda, shoulda, couldas. You could say that about every single play in every single game. But, if a couple of those passes that were touchdowns end up as touchdowns, it's a whole different ball game.
So, I mean, Crockett, I was going to ask you about your level of worry when it came to the Eagles after that loss, but, everything that you said there, it sounds like you're still pretty optimistic, moving forward with the Raiders coming up this weekend. So I'll shift it a little bit to individual player instead of just the team. Level 1 to 10, how concerned are you with Jalen Hurts right now? 1 being, let's get the backup in, those other people on the radio in Philadelphia have been clamoring for. or number 10? He's still fantastic. He's had a rough few weeks. Like, what is your level of worry right now with Jalen Hurts?
If 1 is very unworried and 10 is very worried, 3, 2. Like, I think we have to give this guy the benefit of the doubt of, he is a Super Bowl MVP. I think, listen, I am not taking away from the game that he played overall on Monday night. It was not great. There's a lot of good quarterbacks who have had, I think I remember Peyton Manning one night in Qualcomm against San Diego on a primetime game, threw like 6 picks. I think Antonio Cromartie picked him off a couple times. Like, these things happen. I am not as concerned. Again, now, if what we're saying is we've had these conversations about changing the offense, there were crossers, there were flood concepts, there was a bit of mesh, there was some different things that they did that make you go, okay, it looks like we're not just running this vanilla stuff over and over again. Can I get a little bit more of a sample size in that before I say it's the quarterback is really the big thing for me? Because again, I don't think A.J. Brown helped him out very much with a couple of those plays in that game against the Chargers. And that stat line looks a lot different if some of those passes land. The pass in overtime, I think he was just feeling good. That was probably the best drive that he had all game, like just kind of going and moving and throwing good passes and doing that sort of thing. And then, those defensive backs made a great play at the end of that overtime game when he tried to force that throw in there. So I am not nearly as concerned as everybody else, because I think to this point, the offense that has been called to this point has not been supportive of the quarterback. Now, if you take what I just said and say, okay, well, we're going to try to implement some of these other concepts, do things over the middle of the field and do all of those things, and we continue to get these kinds of results, well, then you have to look back at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, and say, okay, maybe they were so vanilla because they don't know if this guy can make the throws and deal with the concepts that are in front of him. So I am of the status that would say that I think Jalen Hurts is better than he played on Monday night. I would think whether you want to bench him or not, most people agree. We'll have to see, because if they run those, if this looks the same in a couple of weeks and those concepts look the same and it looks more like an NFL style offense and he's having that problem, well then, yeah, I would say it would not take me long for that number to go from a 2 or a 3 to a 7 or an 8 pretty quick.
I know they were getting after Herbert and they were getting hits on him. They were getting sacks, but when he's also the leading rusher and he's making big plays with his legs, do you get as frustrated as I do watching Penn State's defense allow teams to do that?
But again, so I'll flip it over to you in this, though. If you take the score out of it, and I flipped it over to you and said he had 100 and whatever it was, 30 some yards passing and was their leading rusher, and that they sacked him, I think it was 7 sacks, 8 sacks in the game. Again, I'm probably saying, yeah, I'll take that. I get the frustration there. I'll live with Justin Herbert, running the football on me. I think most you've seen him. He threw a couple of throws. He threw a throw across his body, running to his left over the middle of the field. That was just an outrageous throw that not a lot of people can make. So knowing that, I would live with that. Yeah. If you told me that stat line before the game, again, if you're asking me if I think the Eagles win with that stat line, I go, yeah, of course, I'll take that all day long. But yeah, I mean, I think you get frustrated if it wasn't 7 sacks, if it was 2 sacks and he was doing that. Yes, the frustration would be there, but I can't put much on this defense in this game. The sudden change of having to come on the field as many times as they did, the number of times that they got to Herbert. Again, you take away that Kamani Vidal play early in the game, that was their biggest play. This is a championship caliber defense. If this offense can figure it out to some level, 24 points. I'll say it again. Every single week we get on here, 24 points is a number in my brain. If you can get to 24 points as an offense, this defense is a Super Bowl caliber, championship ready defense. It's going to be really hard for teams to beat you if you score 24. With the talent you have on this offense, you have to score 24 points at least a game.
So that loss to the Chargers was the 3rd loss in a row for the Eagles. 24-21 loss against Dallas, the 24-15 loss at home to the Bears, and obviously the Chargers won. Out of these last 3 games that the Eagles have lost, which one has been the most eye-opening one for you that has, maybe allowed some type of thoughts about this not being another great year for the Eagles?
Well, I kind of take the last two games and I go by the sample size. So Chicago, you had Sidney Brown starting the secondary, who did not. The kid is a missile, and I love that about him. Did not play a great game against Chicago, and sometimes looked like he was on an island by himself out there in that game. You put Marcus Epps in there, who hasn't been with this team in a couple seasons, spent some time with the Raiders, but is just a good all around safety. Is he going to be the one that's going to get a huge pick six like Sidney Brown might? No, but is he the one that's going to give you all that? He's going to hit all the singles. He'll get on base. He'll do all those things. So I think the difference of having him in there, I think Jordan Davis, Jalex Hunt, like some of these young guys that we were waiting to come on early in the season really have come on since then. And I think that Bears game was just a little bit of a defense that was missing some pieces, and just, again, I'll use the word anomaly. I'm not expecting that game against the Bears to be what this Eagles defense is. The flip side of this game with the Chargers is, yes, as bad as it was with all the turnovers on offense, it was great to see them running things other than hitches and vertical routes. And yes, I would love for Jalen to hit the check down here and there. And yes, I'd love to see AJ make those catches and get those numbers that he's been asking for all season. And again, that's kind of the anomaly to me, is that I don't think that they are the 5 turnover offense that they were against the Chargers. So if I had to pick a game that I think defines this team the most, it would be the Chargers game, because I think that defense is that good when they are healthy and playing together. And I think the offense, again, if they can find this way to eliminate those big mistakes that they made against the Chargers and turn some of those things into points, I'm going to hammer it till I can't hammer it anymore. This is going to be a hard team to beat if you can score 24 points. They're averaging 17 points a game in their last 5 games, 6, 7 games. You go back to beyond the 3 losses. You go back to Detroit and Green Bay. If you can get that number into the 20s, I think you're a really hard team to beat. And I'm at least optimistic and curious a little bit with the offense after what I saw on Monday night.
So I'm on record about this weekend's game against the Raiders saying this is either the ultimate get-right opponent, or people should be fearing for their jobs on Monday, depending on how it goes. Is that a safe assessment for this one?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, we were talking last week, and I brought up the game against Arizona 2 seasons ago when they had that big slide. And Arizona came in at whatever it was, 3-11, 3-12, and the Eagles got up big, and then Arizona dominated the second half, and it was over. I started thinking about this because I was at the game. There was a Monday night football game when Carson Wentz got hurt that Super Bowl season, and Nick Foles came in, and they're playing the Raiders, and it's ugly, and the Raiders have a chance to win. And if I'm not mistaken, Ronald Darby gets a pick at the end of that game, and it was just kind of like a deep breath. All right, maybe we still got a shot in the playoffs, and that defense was playing really well at that point in time, and they were trying to figure things out with Nick Foles. Hopefully the history that repeats itself is a lot more like 2017 than it is like 2023. And this team can find a way to beat the Raiders. I don't care how they do it. They need a win. I'm with you. It's not going to look good if it's an ugly game and coaches are going to be called for and the offense is going to be called for. Right now, you need something positive. A W is the most positive thing you can get. And even if you play a game similar to listen, if they beat the Chargers on Monday night, yeah, we're talking about the turnovers, we're doing all that stuff, but we're also talking about a team that came back and won in overtime and adversity and all the stuff that they had to deal with on the offensive side of the ball to get it in. If they have that kind of game against the Raiders this weekend, I think that's a good thing more than it is a bad thing. If they do lose this game this weekend, I think you're 100% correct. The boo birds and the questions and everything that's already really, really loud around this team, to borrow from Spinal Tap, gets cranked up to 11 if they lose this game to the Raiders on Sunday.
No, I absolutely agree, because I think at this point in the season, the Raiders have kind of taken the mantle as the worst team in the NFL right now at 2-11. Given that they've taken that mantle, is there any aspect of Las Vegas's attack, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, that worries you at all?
Well, it's funny that you put it that way about the Raiders, because trying to be optimistic as an Eagles fan is tough. And there's maybe like 4 teams in the NFL that going into this game on Sunday, I picked the Chargers to win on Monday night. There are probably 4 teams in the NFL that I would say, I think the Eagles win this game on Sunday, and the Raiders are one of them. So good for them that this is happening right now. Anything I'm scared of, listen, they haven't gotten Ashton Genty going, but that Chip Kelly offensive, I think you just got to kind of throw all that stuff in the landfill. What happened before this? You're worried about Brock Bowers. The guy can make catches. The guy can find the end zone. Can they get in a rhythm with Ashton Genty a little bit? There's the element of Kenny Pickett going against the Vic Fangio defense all last year. He's a backup quarterback in Philadelphia, so maybe he's a little bit familiar with what Vic is doing as he's running scout teams, trying to get the Eagles, first team defense ready last season. So there is that element. I know it was garbage time last week, but he put together some decent numbers against Denver. So yeah, this is again, I'm going to bring up that Arizona game a couple seasons ago. There's no way that you cannot put your foot on the gas against any team in the NFL. And yes, I do not think the Raiders are a very good football team right now. I agree. They got to come to your house and win the game. All those things considered, they could still come in here and win the game. Max Crosby's questionable. Is he going to play? All those elements, whatever. They still have to come in here, and they're going to try to win a football game. We'll see if the Eagles can take care of business at home on Sunday.
All right, Crockett, how about a prediction for this one on Sunday?
24 is the number. I don't care how you get there. Get 12 safeties if you have to. I don't care. 24 is the number in my head. I don't think the Raiders' offense is good enough to threaten that number. I need some confidence in this offense. 24 points is the number I'm going for, and I think they should score more. But I'm going to say Eagles 23, Raiders 16. I thought the Raiders played a tough game against the Broncos last week, so I'm not going to discredit them. I just don't know that they've got the oomph to try to keep up with that score against that Eagles defense. I need 24 points from this Eagles offense at least on Sunday.
Okay. And he picks 23. It tells me he's not expecting to get what he wants for Christmas. That tells me. What's coming up on WLEV coming up tomorrow?
Christmas, buddy. What do you mean? Come on. You can't say that to the guy on the Christmas station now. Come on. No, we are just getting ready to wrap things up here. Full pun intended, I guess, in this case. So we've got your holiday music rolling right along. If you're looking for all the feel-good stuff, come find us in LEV. We got you.
I got a question for you before we let you run, because it's something we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the program.
Okay.
But being the Christmas station guy that you are, which ornament or ornaments in your house have to be hung high up on the tree? You know what I mean? Like, there's certain ones that have to be prominent on the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific ornament or ornaments that have to be in certain spots every year?
Well, I've got two answers for that, and I'll give them quickly. One, anything edible, because the dogs keep getting them. So anything the kids have made with all that stuff, that's got to go up higher. The dogs are going to get it. I have in my house it's an old football dome, and it's polar bears versus reindeer in a football game, and it plugs into the light. You take a light out of the socket, you plug it in, and they just slide back and forth. They slide back and forth. The lights flicker in the stadium, and that's the one for me. We got to keep that thing up and prominent.
I like it. Okay, I've never seen one of those before. Sounds good. Kevin Crockett, In-Flight Eagles podcast and 100.7 WLEV. Crockett, thanks for hopping on the program. Have a good week, and the guys will chat with you again coming up next Thursday.
I appreciate you, fellas. Man, I hope we're talking about an Eagles win, because I will not be fun next Thursday if we got to do this after a loss to the Raiders. Thank you, boys.
You got it.
Thanks, Crockett.
Might be more to talk about.